여러분 안녕. Today we'll be talking about episodes 5 and 6 of my Sassy Girl. We get a little bit of a recap, as you often do. At the beginning of 5, we learn that the dude from like that black markety thing that kidnapped the princess, gone. This conspiracy, whole inter-palace conspiracy going on here. They had, I don't know if they're servants, maids, ladies in waiting, whatever. I don't know what the hell they are. But they're at the palace all this freaking time, and these girls are handed bunches of flyers, and they're just walking around, just low key tossing them all over the place. And I was like, really? Because they're all in cahoots with this friggin'. I don't like this queen. I really don't. I dislike her on the same level I dislike Dion, which we'll get to her in a little bit. But the king sees it, of course, because they're throwing them all over the freaking courtyard, and puts her on what they call lockdown. So she done got herself grounded, and she can't leave her room. She can't have no visitors. You know, her guard goes in, her servant goes in, they bring her food that she won't eat, and she's devastated. And through that, we learn a little bit more of why she leaves, which is to meet this man. His name is Min. And Min, which they made it seem, as they often do, like maybe she was involved with him, but no. He claims to know her mother is alive and know where her mother is. And he said he would bring her to her mother. She would just have to wait a little bit. He's gone missing. It's been a few years. She keeps leaving because she doesn't want to miss him. Now, I relate to this princess heavily in this aspect. I lost my mother. It's been like 14 years since I lost my mother, and your whole life changes. It's horrible. But if somebody, like, I know, like, this is not an option here. Her mother was removed from the house, and then word got back that something happened to her. If that was my situation, if somebody came to me and said, here's your mother's ring, I know where she is and she's okay, absolutely would I be leaving. I would do whatever I had to do to see my mother again. Most people probably would. So now that she can't, it's devastating, and it is, and I understand, really how she feels. And while she's in there, they have guards posted at the front of her room. If this was real life, they would have probably also put them at the back of her room, but you don't get a story when you got guards surrounding a place. But somehow this note goes into her door, which automatically made me suspicious. Well, everything makes me suspicious. I'm a naturally suspicious person. But if I were her, I would have been like, nah, something's not right with this. It claims to be from Min. Oh, come meet me. She's, I guess, just so anxious to see him that she doesn't really think about this seems off. If it was him, why would he just leave a note in the door when he could have just opened the door and been like, hey? Because clearly nobody saw whoever left this note here. Crack team of guards they put in front of her room. But she decides, I guess, to just take her chances and go. Sneaks right out the back. None of these guards hear her. Nobody sees nothing. Well, I guess if it was, it's a TV show, it's not meant to be 100%, reality accurate, because then you wouldn't have a show, right? Um, they show a little bit of the prince. He's so cute. I love that kid. He's just so sweet, adorable. He just wants to hang out with his sister. Just so nice. When my brother was that age, he wanted nothing to do with me. She runs into Hyunwoo on her way to meet Min, and he's like, "Well, everybody knows she's punished. Everybody knows that she's on. They called it lockdown." Um, so he sees her out. She's hiding under her hanbok again, and I feel like he's so used to seeing her like that that every time he sees someone doing that, he's automatically assuming it's her. But he's like, "What are you doing? You're not supposed to be here. Go home." And she's trying to get him off her back with Aegyo, and I can't with her Aegyo. I can't. I have an issue with a lot of Aegyo, like for anybody over the age of like 12, but that's just me. I find it awkward because like you're grown, and I don't know. Maybe that's just with some people it's okay. Like Ken from Viggs, his Aegyo I can deal with because I think I just know to expect it, and it's part of his aesthetic. But I just can't. I can't. It's weird, and it doesn't really work on him either. I got a 10-year-old nephew tries to egg me into giving him something, and it still don't happen. But so she just flat out says to him, "Okay, well, this is what's going on," and shows the note to him and everything. And then we see the queen again the next morning, I believe it is, and she's bringing porridge, nasty, nasty, nasty looking porridge that she made with her own hands, to the princess, and the guards are like, "No, you can't, sorry." And she's like, "Well, I'm the queen. That doesn't apply to me." "Yes, it does." Because the king shows up behind her and says, "Yes, it does. And you're not supposed to be here." And she's very adamant about giving the princess this porridge. "Oh, my baby, she's not eating and I'm worried." And she's, number one, not your baby, so get off her. Number two, you have it out for her. Number three, I'm not even sure she likes you very much. So we find out that the whole porridge deal is because this fortune teller type of lady is like, "Oh, well, the reason why you're not getting pregnant is because of the princess. She's done something. So here's this paper, you burn this, and you mix in the porridge, and you feed it to her, and you'll be fine." Which is a bunch of nonsense. But, to each their own, you believe what you want to believe. So she goes, and they're like, "Well, no." And the king's like, "Well, you can just leave it with the servants, and, they'll make sure that she eats it. No problem." She's like, "Okay, fine, whatever." So she does, and now she's pissed and in trouble, and I'm happy because she's pissed off and in trouble, because she is a miserable person. And the servant decides, well, she's not here, and she's probably not going to eat it anyway, so he ate it, and here's hoping she doesn't get what she wants, because the eunuch servant is the one who ate this porridge. We see a little bit of Daeun. She's in a bookshop or a library. I think they call it a library. And she's just looking through titles, and I love the titles of these books. There's Descendants of the Sun, My Love from the Stars, 50 Shades of Grey, which I really wasn't expecting to see that one. But I love that they're like little modern-ish touches in this show. And she's looking through the books, and then she runs into Gyeonu's friends, and she's asking about the princess. And, they say, they don't tell her anything really like different than anybody else has been telling her, really. "Oh, we don't know what family she's from or anything." And then we see that guy who like Gyeonu's talking to him, um, because he's looking at the wanted posters, and this guy shows up, and the one who bailed him out of, well, helped him get out of jail, and the man mentions Min and some things about him, and the more I see this guy, the more questions I have. Like, who exactly are you, and why do you know all of this? I'm waiting for answers. I don't like waiting. I want to know. Okay. Um, but yeah, I just don't know what the deal with him is. Getting more questions than answers. Um, the princess finally meets up with that guy who left him the note. It's not Min. Shocker. Um, I don't think if anybody even really believed that really was going to be him, because I sure as hell didn't. Um, it's definitely not him. It's a dude with a scar on his face, and he's basically out to get her. And what the hell does this say? Yeah, he said he was here to take her somewhere. I would not go with this dude nowhere. No, I don't care if he said take 2 steps this way. I'm not going. But you know, thankfully, before anything can happen, that cute Officer Kong shows up to save the day. He's literally one of the highlights of this show for me. So he tells her to leave, and it takes her a little bit, but she goes. And he gets into it with this guy and takes a sword to the side. Bad. And the guy takes off after the princess, obviously. Because that's his whole reason for even being there, right? And this is how it comes at the end of the episode. It starts raining, like pouring raining, and she's running through the village, again, hanbok over her head, and trying to escape him. And luckily, Yeonu sees her. Luckily for her, he's there. And he grabs her and saves her, hides her with his umbrella, like a freaking Disney moment, and just hides her from this guy. And then it goes into episode 6, where it starts off with Officer Kong talking to the king. My hair is crazy because I got rained on again. About going to search the next town over, Banton. And he's still bleeding. Still bleeding. So it's either relatively soon after, or it's just that deep of a wound that it is still just oozing blood, and it's gross. But he is given permission to go. And then we see the princess and Gyeonu back out on the streets, and you know she faints from the shock, which seems to be a common thing for people. I don't know. But he takes her home, to his home. That's a better choice than taking her back to that inn, even though you got a frequent visitors card, though. That guy was so weird. Yeah, that guy showed up on a bridge and handed out like loyalty cards to his inn. But okay. Anyway, he takes her home and sleeps in a chair. Has one of their servants change her into like more comfy, like bedtime clothes, while he waits outside, because he's not going to be accused of being a pervert again. No. And then, you know, she sleeps in the bed, he sleeps in a chair, and she wakes up, and her first question is, how did I get in this? You didn't do it, right? He's like, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. She's getting up, you know, gonna get ready to leave and whatever, and there's his sister at the door. Oh, what about you? Why did you lock the door? Shit. So now it's a scramble. It's a mad frenzy to hide everything, you know, her clothes, her shoes, her So spacious as a room it is, that's all it is, a space. There's no closet to hide her in. She can't fit under the bed. So throw a blanket over her and just lay there and pretend it's totally normal. But that kid, she is super observant. Oh, whose shoes are those? So he feeds her some BS line about how, they're for you. Way too big. And she's like, I'm not stupid. Like, these don't fit. I know they don't fit. What are you doing? And he's like, you'll grow into them. You're young. That's why I got them bigger, because you'll grow into them. And it sounds like a logical, totally plausible answer. It's just not true. And then the blanket's moving because the princess can't apparently sit still for 5 seconds. So they see her. They find her because sister grabs the blanket and turns into this whole thing. And the mom is like devastated because she's not in nice clothes. She assumes she's this poor girl with no money, thinks she lives in a shack, is trying to give her gold rings to disappear. And she's like, I don't need that. His father finds out that she's there, and obviously his father knows who she is because he works for the king. He's seen her before. And he goes with Gyanu to see the king and say, okay, no, your daughter's fine. She's at my house. No big deal. Don't worry about it. So he's like, okay. She can stay there. Because Gyanu says to him, I know something's going on. Someone's out to get her, and she's not safe here. Why the hell she would be safer at his house, I don't know. Apparently, because also everybody now knows she's there. Even though there's a conspiracy going on at the palace, I don't know if being at someone else's house is going to make her any safer. But she's now staying there. And when this entire procession of royalty just comes to the house, the servants, the clothes and everything for her, it's like shocked. And the mom's like, well, why are they looking for the princess here? Because it took them a good minute to figure out who they were looking for. We also see a little bit more of Diane in this. We learn that she is a minister's daughter. That minister being the one who is in cahoots with the queen. And I should have assumed. I really should have. Because the apple has not fallen far from the tree with that girl. I really should have figured it out sooner. Really. She just irritates my soul, man. She just really does. She has found out that the girl she's been looking for is the princess, and obviously she's not too happy about that. So we get a little bit of backstory on that super cute puppy. You know what I'm saying? But apparently, because she calls the dog Yellow. She calls the dog Noran, and he's like, no, that's not his name. You need to show respect to this dog. It has a title. The dog has a... Even she thought it was weird. He's like, the King of China gave me this dog, and this dog has a title, and it had, like, thousands of servants, and what... It was a dog, man. Like, it's an educated, titled dog that had servants. Okay. Was that a thing? Like, did people do that? Because I don't think people do that now. As they're talking, his friends show up. And obviously there's guards in front of the house, and they're like, oh well, you can't go in there. And Gunnar says, no, it's fine, I know them, they're my friends, it's cool. They let them in, and they find out she's the princess. So now all of a sudden they're on their best behavior. They take her to the library where they write all of their little stories and everything. And um, she keeps looking through all the books and like picking things up, and they see that one about like the princess's secret life, and they're like, you don't want to read that. You don't worry about that. They're like, nope, that's not about you. You know, stumbling all over themselves to be like, we'll just take that, and you don't need to see that. Thank you. And so they leave, and they're like, all right, fine. And they go back home. While they're on their way back home, Yonu and the princess are on their way back to his house, and as they're walking through the village, she stops. This is the end, by the way, of episode 6. And she sees this guy, and it's Min. Min has returned from God knows where. We better find out in episode 7, because I'm really curious. And he, it's that long distance stare, and then the pause, and then the fade out. But I don't know. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad they didn't draw it out for freaking ever for him to get there. I'm really hoping he's got good news for her. I really, really am. I really hope she's okay. I want her to come back. I want her to claim her son and get that bitch out of the palace. I hate her. I hate her. She needs to go. That Jafar-like minister needs to get the hell out too. All of those people throwing out flyers, they all need to go. Everybody needs to go. Everybody. Anyway, I'm gonna stop because it's gonna be forever that this video is. I'm super excited for episode 7, especially now that he's here. And yeah, that's it. Yeah. So like, subscribe, comment, whatever. If you want, if you don't want to, whatever. You're gonna make your own choice anyway. Okay. I'll see you next time.